This is another topic we'll go further into self-observation. But right now, just acknowledge, I feel stress. I feel angry. I feel irritated. I feel anxiety. But what is anxiety? What is stress? This is a process of waking up the mind. Again, there's two parts to the mind. One part is passive, meaning that we're unaware, unconscious state. It's a sleep state of being. And this is what Gurdjieff is talking about. If you go to page 66 in the book called In Search of the Miraculous, written by Ouspensky, and it's on my website, click on it. If you go to resources, you'll see the book, and it'll take you directly to Amazon.com. I don't get credit for this. You can buy a used book for about $2. All right, so if you go to page 66, Gurdjieff talks about man is asleep. Let me read you something very simple. You can see it's a worn book. I've had this for several years. I've had several of these books because if you're studying, you're going to wear them out. He says this: a modern man lives in sleep. In sleep he is born, and in sleep he dies. About sleep, its significance and its role in life. We will speak later. But at present, just think of one thing. What knowledge can a sleepy man have? And you think about it, and at the same time, remember that sleep is the chief feature of our being. It will at once become clear to you that if a man really wants knowledge, he must first of all think about how to wake. That is, how to change his being. Spinoza talks about the idea of sleep. And how can you acquire knowledge if the mind is asleep? It's interesting also on top of the page of 66, he talks about the difference between knowledge and being. An individual can acquire great knowledge. That knowledge does not change his being. So what is the being of the individual? Good question. And what is knowledge? Well, say for instance, you can be an excellent person in your field. You can be a teacher, a professor, an attorney, a scientist, a doctor, a nurse, or a great hairstylist. You can be excellent in your field. The difference between thinking and imagining. So to learn your craft, you have to be in specifics, learn the reality of what is needed, and there's the imagination. The imagination has no power. We'll talk about the imagination in another time, but I just want to share a distinct difference between acquiring clear information to help you learn your craft and imagination. You might imagine yourself being an attorney, say a child, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a nurse, or a fireman or a policeman. I imagine myself being something in the future. But in the reality of being in the present, we take on the classes, the work that's needed to become expert in your field. And everybody has a different level of what expert is, depending on the effort you put in. There, from say 1 to 10, there are individuals who will apply themselves at the 3 or 4 level, some at the 10 level. So those who apply themselves at the highest level most likely have the best results. All right, so you acquire knowledge, but that knowledge does not change your being. And then what is the being of the individual? Because what I'm saying is you might be very successful, business-wise, financially, materially. But when you go home, you find that you have no connection with your wife or your spouse or your partner, and you hardly speak to your children, if you have children. Or you might be, say, an engineer. And engineers are very much in their intellect. They might be in the field of software engineering. And they have a problem. They do not know how to connect with people. So there's an individual who has great knowledge, but yet their being is suffering. They might be very angry. Anything can touch their anger. They have a great excuse why they get angry. They might be abusive. Right now, there's a unfortunate reality. They found that many men in power, in the entertainment field, in the political field, in the government, in all fields, when an individual is in power, they feel they have the right to impose their will on others. People who are under them are in a position where they need this job. And sometimes they let things slide. They speak sexually or touch women on the job, just because they feel they have the right to do so. It is unfortunate. One of my favorite comedians is Louis C.K. Well, he came out and accepted the reality of what he did to some of these women who saw him and had high respect for this man. And he felt he had the right to expose himself openly. Do you think that man had free will? He had choice, yes. Choices are not free. So what is the difference between knowledge and being? We acquire great knowledge, but our being is weak. It's a very inferior quality. Spinoza wrote a book called The Ethics. Ethics, he says that we can come to a higher character, a conscious character. If you have any questions, you can see my website. Looking forward to communicating these ideas, and I have other ideas I'd like to share.